We are a technology company. We are at the very exciting stages of commercialising a brand new technology for smaller scale gas to liquids, GTL. Smaller scale GTL has been an aspiration for some time, but not a reality up to now. And the innovative technology that we have is leading this new area. It takes a very long time and a significant amount of money to get a new process technology like this to market. The good news for us and for our investors is that we've now taken that time. It's taken something like 15 years to get to this stage, and something over $300 million has been spent developing the technology. A lot of that has come from R&D, industrial programs with various companies, or government-funded research. And throughout that, we've developed a very extensive patent portfolio that protects the IP around this. Very significantly for us, we're now seeing the first full-size commercial reference plant being built using our technology, scheduled to be complete in the first half of next year. As a company, we're well capitalised. We completed an equity fundraise on AIM last year, raising £52 million, and we're well resourced with development and operational sites in both Oxford and in Columbus, Ohio, and with a commercial and engineering centre in Houston. We really focus on what we know best, that's the technology development. And so we've partnered with leading players in various fields to create the capability to supply the whole plant using our technology to the customers. We have, over the summer, had some well-publicised changes to our management team. So now would be a good time really to talk about the strength of the management team, our board, and the company as a whole. The 7 individuals shown there on our senior management team have a very extensive and diverse experience base in relevant blue chip companies, including energy, process industries and manufacturing, as well as a certain level of entrepreneurial and pioneering experience. In addition, on our board, we have, through our chairman and 4 non-exec directors, an vast additional wealth of experience at executive level in oil companies, in GTL, in energy policy. So they've made their careers in the likes of Shell, British Gas, Sierra, Enterprise Oil. And they're bringing their strategic vision, their knowledge of GTL, their knowledge of the oil and gas industry, and their experience in running multinational, multi-million-dollar companies to set the direction for Velocys. Within the company generally, we have probably one of the largest and most experienced teams working on GTL or Fischer-Tropsch specifically in the industry. So, for example, our 77-strong research, development and manufacturing supply chain team have over 14 years of industrial experience. Let me just explain what the GTL process is. This is a chemical conversion process that converts natural gas or some equivalent feedstock into liquid oil-based products. It's a 3-stage process, and at the heart of it is this reaction called the Fischer-Tropsch. That's what we're focused on. The initial process of reforming natural gas is using established technology that's found in every refinery today. The final process, the hydroprocessing or the upgrading of the Fischer-Tropsch product to get to a slate of premium end products, again, is an established technology used in many refineries. The Velocys business model, as I said, focused around supplying the technology and developing the technology, is one where we make money from a license fee and from a sale of reactors and catalysts for the Fischer-Tropsch process. The nice thing about this model is that once the plant is up and running, the catalyst revenue provides an ongoing recovering revenue stream, and over time this provides a major source of revenue from each individual plant. So why is small-scale GTL good? GTL as a process has been going for a long time. The process was discovered in the 1920s, and there are various large plants around the world now that practice this type of conversion. The conventional technology that currently exists is basically only economic at very large scale, and so is only applicable to certain specific opportunities. If you look at the picture on the left, this is a reactor for a Sasol plant in Qatar. There are actually two very large plants in Qatar, one owned by Sasol, one by Shell. This reactor here, which is shown on its side, so when installed it's vertical, and it would be 60 metres tall and 10 metres in diameter. You can see circled the people, so you can just see how big that is. And just to the number of places in the world where you could access and you could get one of these are quite limited, and the number of shops in the world where you could make one of these, and a number of places where there is sufficient gas at low value are also very limited. So contrast that with the Velocys reactor on the right. The Sasol reactor there are two of them in their 34,000 barrel a day plant. Our reactor is a 175 barrel a day reactor, so very much smaller, very much more manageable in terms of shipping. And whereas the large reactors, the large conventional technology had to be built like this to get economies of scale, our reactors benefit from really the sort of economies of volume. So these reactors can be made in factories and simple, cheaper processes and shipped and transported much more cheaply. And having this technology that allows you to make cost-effective plant at smaller scale, then suddenly opens up many more opportunities. We see that the market is vast for this smaller scale type of opportunity. Whereas for large conventional plants, you need to have a very large quantity of gas in an accessible area. A lot of natural gas is available in smaller pockets and in much less accessible regions. And in those areas, the value of that gas is much lower, and therefore you have a much cheaper feedstock, which you can then convert to a more valuable product. And this is the real value out of the smaller scale GTL technology. And the good thing about that is then that you can actually access particular niches where there are very attractive economics that are not dependent on a general wider sort of commodity type of pricing that needs to be robust at large scale. You can really access very attractive small individual opportunities. So a year ago, when we talked to people and we were describing the opportunity, it was quite easy to describe why, when oil prices are at $100 plus, why converting low-priced gas to a more expensive sort of oil-based type of product, why that makes a lot of sense. But actually, the story is much more complex than that. And in the lower price oil world, it still makes a lot of sense to have this GTL, because there are lots of very attractive opportunities, but driven by certain specific features. First of all, low-cost feedstocks. So this could be gas in remote places, gas that's being flared, for example, or gas, the equivalent of gas that you can create through biomass or waste. And we have various projects that are looking at all of these opportunities. The second potential driver is where you have a very isolated market, so where you have specific demand and supply constraints in a particular area. And that might be, for example, where you have a local demand that is very costly and expensive to supply. That could be, for example, diesel requirements in a remote outback mining location. And then the third opportunity area is where you can get high value from specialty products that can be provided from this Fischer-Tropsch product. So a project that we're developing, Ashtabula GTL, is an example of this, where the waxes and the drilling fluids that you could get have got a high value. And so just sort of be more specific about that, the products that you get out of the Fischer-Tropsch process with this sort of upgrading gives you a whole slate of different products that you can get, from diesel, jet fuel, but also waxes, lubricants, etc. And those can have different values. The thing about the GTL process, because it's a chemical conversion, you're getting a product that's very pure, very clean, it's sulfur-free, it's amine-free, no aromatics. And so you can get really sort of performance-enhancing qualities from that. And the pricing of these products is very much more attractive than some of the sort of basic oil pricing. So, for example, hard waxes equivalent to about $300 per barrel, down to, for example, drilling fluids around $150 per barrel. And you can see there, compare it to the cost of the GTL product, which varies according to how much you pay for the gas. So that green block representing the gas price, which can vary from nothing to maybe up to $30 per barrel equivalent for the gas. What you can also see is that some of the prices of these products isn't as tied to the oil prices. So, for example, in the graph below, you can see how the low wax melt is, the low melt wax pricing has remained robust even with falling oil prices. I mentioned that we're at the exciting state of having our first commercial reference plant being built. This first plant's been built in Oklahoma City, adjacent to a landfill site. And the plant is actually being built by a joint venture that's owned by Waste Management, a large US company that involved in management of waste, and a number of other partners. And basically, it will be taking landfill gas, supplemented with pipeline gas, and converting it to fuels. So construction of that is underway. And this then will be our first commercial reference plant. We're very proud of this. We see this as a major inflection point for the company having that first reference plant. So just let me indulge with some photographs. These are the reactors that, or one of the reactors that's now completed, and some of the modules that are put together to form the rest of the plant at the engineers' workshops. The thing is about having a first commercial reference plant, it is a big deal for a technology company. Having the first, or no customer really wants to be the first user of a new technology. So one of the most difficult things is to get that first customer. And we have achieved that now. And so we have that plant coming on stream. But in addition, we're developing a pipeline of other projects. We have a number already gone into the public domain, talked about what they're doing. The Ashtabula GTL plant in Ohio, I've talked about a 4,800 barrel a day plant being developed by us, and that would be providing specialty products. It would be taking low-cost gas from the Marcellus shale field. So that project is being developed at the moment. Another one that's been announced, Red Rock Biofuels. This is using forestry waste and converting it into fuel. They have been awarded a $70 million construction grant by the US Department of Defense. They've already signed Southwest Airlines and FedEx as off-takers for the project, and they're targeting a final investment decision sometime towards the end of this year. Another project that's been announced that's looking to use our technology is Selina Green Sky here in London, which is a waste-to-liquid plant. In addition to those that have been announced, we have a number also in our pipeline that's growing and progressing that are not announced. These include, for example, an opportunity with a major fuels player in the US, where they have an advantage site with a very low-cost feedstock. And they already have an equity investor in place for that. We're talking to a number of oil majors about solving gas problems, for example, stranded gas, associated gas. And we're also talking with multiple national oil companies regarding flared gas. So we continue to see significant interest, and also from potential investors in these projects. So in summary, Velocys is a company at the forefront of smaller scale gas to liquids. We see this as a market, a new market with huge opportunities, even in the lower oil price world of today. We are a company well capitalized. We have strong resources. We have a leading technology. We have a strong management team, strong commercial team, and we have a commercial plant under construction. There's a pipeline behind that of other projects coming through. We have a stand on stand 34. I'd be very happy, myself and my colleagues would be very happy to talk to any of you and answer any questions. Thank you.